the material is a very simple piece. It comprises 16 hand-sewn Dorset buttons on a piece of cloth. Dorset buttons were made in the county of Dorset in the 18th and early 19th century, before the practice became obsolete through the introduction of button-making machines in the mid-19th century. Many of the families that relied on an income through making hand-sewn buttons became destitute following the collapse of the industry, and many of these families emigrated to the United States. This is the story that craft historians write about the history of Dorset buttons. I would, though, like to suggest one important change. That is that the families who made Dorset buttons did not become destitute because of the end of their industry. They were destitute through trying to make a living out of making such small items that require relatively few material resources but require a considerable amount of time. So in my contemporary interpretation, I've made 16 different Dorset buttons. I've used 2 different colours, and every single one is slightly different. It took me on average between 1 and 2 hours to make each piece. So if I was to put a monetary value on this particular piece, and assuming that I'm earning a minimum wage, so not acknowledging any skill, this piece would cost around about £160, which might sound quite a lot for a piece of fabric with 16 buttons on it. So in making time is the material, I'm trying to get us to think about how we value time. The real resource that I need to make these buttons is time. It's not the threads or the metal rings that I use to make the buttons, as the amount of material used is very small. Yet because this is a very time-intensive activity, it is very difficult, almost impossible, to assign a monetary value to this activity.